those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all Nerds International. With the hyphen.
Hello, so today we're going to have a look at Foundry Virtual Tabletop again, and the good news is there's now been a release for ICRPG System to use with Foundry. Now usually when you go to look at the systems in Foundry from within, you get a list of some of the systems that you can, but for some reason ICRPG hasn't been submitted officially, but you can get it by going to alphacore.be/FoundryVTT.ICRPG/ and I will leave a link in the show notes with that URL in, so you can go there, and there's instructions how you install it. There's a manifest URL that you can add to it. So today we're going to have a look at the Foundry VTT. Now I'm running this on a server on Amazon as opposed to my local machine, and I've got a couple of sessions on, but I'll show you the bare bones session of ICRPG. Now obviously for copyright reasons there's lots that you can't include with these modules to stay within IP. This has all been done with Hank's blessing, so Hank from Runehammer has seen this and he's given us okay, so this is great news. So if we're going to create an actor, we'll create an actor in ICRPG, and you've got a choice of two. You've got a character or an NPC. So we'll look at the character first. We create an actor. It would help if I could put the name. So we call it Jenny, and create the actor. And here we have our ICRPG sheet. So we can click on the image to upload our image for our character for the token, and we can also have a look at the sheet here if we need to. There's nothing to change in that one. And the prototype token, we can change details in here, link the actor, decide whether they're hostile or friendly, upload an image to replace this image, and I'll show you what that looks like with one I've already set up. Whether they have vision, I mean they've got to this sort of dim and bright vision, and also your health bars. So there we go. So these are all clickable fields. You've got the name, class, bioform, and any story. And then beneath then we've got the character sheet. So you're obviously going to create your characters in the normal way you do with ICRPG, and then you can put them in here. And as you tap on these numbers and put the stats in for your base number, it will dynamically change to the left hand side. So let's put 1 in intelligence, and let's say we've got some loot that gives us 1 as well, and as we click on that you can see it's automatically filling it in. And you do the same for your basic effort and etc, and your armor, any loot you've got in armor. I'm not going to tell you how to play ICRPG. If you're watching this, I'm assuming you already know. So let's say we put 2 into armor, and we've got some common armor that gives us another 1, and there we go. That's our armor done. Hit points, any coins. If you've got a hero coin, you can click it on and click it off. And the beauty of this is, let's drag create a scene. We'll call it a blank scene. We'll just accept that. Let's go full screen, make it easier. And we'll drag Jenny onto the scene, because with a lot of these systems, if you haven't got a character selected, then when you click, the roles don't come out correctly. So if we to do any of these roles, then all we need to do is click on the character sheet. As you can see, as I move over the attributes and the effort, it's highlighted. So for example, click on strength. This is going to roll the d20 and add 2, and as you can see, it's done it. And the same for any of these. We just click and it does the rolls for us. When it comes to the effort, that's exactly the same. And just to show you that what happens, let's put some stats in it just so that they're slightly different, so you can see that the rolls are done correctly. And so if I click on basic, it's going to roll a d4 and add whatever there. Weapons obviously is a d6 and adds the modifiers, same with magic and with ultimate damage. So there you've got all your rolls. If you're dying, then you need to roll how many rounds do you die. You can click on here and there it shows we've got 3 rounds, so we can input that dying in there. And when we're doing our revive roll, we can just click on the revive and it'll do that for us. As you can see then, it's adding my con bonus. Oh no, it's just a straight roll, sorry, there's nothing in con. I don't know if it's revive. Oh no, revive is the one where you're trying to revive a fellow, isn't it? So that's on the first tab on your attributes. Now gear, this is done so that you can just click items on the fly, because there are no items created in this because of copyright reasons, but I will show you that you can put all this in yourself after anyway, and I'll show you what I've done. So for gear, so if you wanted to add something, then let's say you wanted to add common armor, you can just add it, armor, quantity 1, give a description. If you wanted to, adds +1 to armor, whatever you want to do, so you can completely customize it. Again, you can add images by clicking on here, save, and then you can choose whether it's equipped or not, because as you know in ICRPG, you can carry 10 items and you can equip 10 items for a total of 20 items, and anything that's equipped, there's a little star by it. There's no interactivity with this. All this means is that if you click on it, it'll just open up the sheet, but at least you can store your 20 items on there. And then there's one other thing, there's a loot here. So if the GM actually roll for loot, click on that and that will roll a D100, and the GM can look at the relevant loot table and tell you what you've got. And finally, then there's the notes tab, and you can add freeform stuff in there. So there we go. That's all you need to really to do to get your old ICRPG going. But of course, we can sex it up a bit. So how can we set it up? So let's log out of this, and then with a bit of work, you can create your own. So we've got a warp shell game coming up next Thursday, so I've done some work on this, so let's have a look at what we've done here. So this is the warp shell. So if I go to the actors, you can see now I've created an actor for my game, and here we have Yitu Bai. He's a Titan mecha. There I've got all his stats in. So what I've done now is I've got all the items, and all the items from the core books and from magic I've input manually. So for example, let's have a look at our axe, and all I've done is I've written it in. Obviously I can't share this for copyright reasons, this is just for our game. And then I've created some an icon for absolutely everything, and I've done it in the ICRPG way with the red circle. And I've used gameicons.net for doing that. Search for appropriate icons to put for the items. So what this means is that in gear, you can now drag these items across. So let's say, for example, I want to put a flail in. I can just drag this straight across, and lo and behold, there's the flail. It's copied all the information in, and it's there for the players. So that's a great way to do it, is by creating all this manually. So I've got the ancient weapons, done the same for all the high-tech weapons, put all those in, because all we need Foundry for is for doing the dice rolling and for holding the equipment. We've got all the starter loot equipment, and as you can see, I've spent some time getting icons for absolutely everything. Magic equipment and magic and starter loot, and then what I've also done is put them in compendiums as well, so that for later on I can use them in different games. So by spending a little bit of time, and copy out the book, you can put all the items in there from your books and then give them access to your players. And you do that by right clicking, configuring the permission and deciding on what permissions you're giving to those items. The other thing that is great for ICRPG is your loot and your timer die. So for timer die, that's a macro, and if I click on the macro, all it is, it's giving is rolling a 1d4 and giving me 1 to 4 rounds. So as the GM, all you need to do is roll on that. It will. I've got a mod on there which does the better dice rolls. Again, you can add your modules, and then the timer die is rolled, which is the text in here, and 1 round. So we know that in 1 round something is going to happen. So that's your first one, that table I've got. The other tables I've done is I've done all the loot tables, because when you defeat creatures of 2 hearts or more, you can find loot. So you've got all the tables. So let's say, for example, you're searching and you've got some ancient loot. That you can click on this, do the roll, and because I've put all the information in the chat, roll 22, and there is what has been found, and the players can put that into their character sheets if they so wished. So yes, again, more time putting all those in, but it's worth it in the long run. And then the other thing which makes it a bit better as well, what I've done myself, is I've created macros for everything. So the macros, if we go and have a look at here, we've got for all of the 6 attributes and for the 4 efforts. So instead of opening up the character sheet every time that you want to do something, right, yeah, I want to do this, so yeah, I'll click open that, attributes, go to there. I've made macros at the bottom, so now if I want to roll strength for the character, all I do is press 1 on my keypad and it will do the roll, and there's the roll appearing. So let's have a look at the macros. So all these is the syntax we need is /r with a space, d20 for all the 6 attributes, and then after that we want @stats dot, and then the 3 letters then whether we want wisdom, charisma, con, strength, dex, or intelligence is the first 3 letters. So in this case it's wisdom, so it's .wis, and then .value, and that is the syntax for doing the rolls. So if you're doing strength, it would be /r space d20 plus for the @ stats .str for strength .value. So, and then once those are created, characters, they can just be dragged down into the hotbar here, and what I'm going to do is for each of the players I will set them up the same. So when the GM says I want you to roll for intelligence, and somebody says, oh, which one's intelligence, they can just say button 4. I mean, as they hover over them anyway, you've got your little tooltip that pops up to tell you what it is. And for effort, what I've done for effort, so look at one of the effort ones. The syntax for effort is /r, and then whichever dice you're rolling is either d4, d6, d8 or d12, then it's that plus and then it's effort dot, and then the type of effort. So if it's basic, it's .basic, .weapon, .ultimate, or .magic, and .value. And again, that is it's done nicely. And I've also got a next turn one there, that if we do use the turn tracker, then that will move on to the next turn. And basically, to move on to the next turn, you've got to make sure the type is switched to script, and then the command is game.combat.next turn, and the turn has got the capital T, open brackets, close brackets, and semicolon. So if we've got several things in the combat tracker, then we can just select the macro and then just click the key associated with it, and it will move the tracker on to the game turn onto the next person. So as you can see, there is a lot of work you've got to do to get it up and running, because all we've got is the basic tools. But if you spend a bit of time, and of course you can put whatever icons you want in there, but it's at least now we can run ICRPG in Foundry. I've spoken to Tom, the author, and asked him what his future plans are. And basically, when we go to the configure settings for the system, at the moment, the system settings for Index Card RPG are blank. And what he's going to do is he's going to add some options in there for the other supplements. So, for example, if you're playing Vigilante City, you'll be able to enable stun points. If you're doing not warp shell, alter state, then there will be options for using rage dice and stuff like that. So you can just tick those options, and that will be bringing more features into it. So all in all, I'm very pleased. I mean, it is exactly what I need from in Foundry. And as I said, with the modules, you can use some of your other modules again. I've got deselection. Dice So Nice is a nice module. That's what gives the nice dice rolls. And what's nice about Dice So Nice is whatever colour the players are down here to the left, then the dice are the same colour. And token health. Oh yeah, let's just show you token health. So we get a token. So to set token health up, we go to the settings on resources, display bars, and there's health. The other one that I mentioned Tom about bringing in was supply, because some games like Ghost Mountain use supply. So again, yeah, he said that is on his future to-do list as well. So that's it. That is ICRPG system for Foundry. Highly recommend it if you like ICRPG and you like Foundry, then it's a good mix two together. And as I said before, I will leave a link to the URL in the show notes. And if you are on Foundry, I also recommend that you check out the Foundry Discord, because there's some great help in there. If you get stuck with Foundry, there's great people to help you out. So that's all for now, and I'll catch you all on the flip side.